Welcome to Mind Shift Power Podcast, a show for teenagers and the adults who work with them, where we have raw and honest conversations. I'm your host, Fatima Bey, the Mind Shifter. And welcome. Today's episode is specifically for young men. And I feel that encouragement is more powerful coming from a man. So in today's episode, instead of you listening to another mother figure giving you some encouragement, I'm going to let you get it from a man. So in today's episode, we have our guest here, Robert Pollard. And he is from Miami, Florida. He is currently a high school teacher, and he's the owner of Motive and Motivation and a very powerful motivational speaker. How are you today, Roger?
I am outstanding, Fatima. How are you doing?
Good. So let's just dive. I like to dive right into it. So tell me
Let's get
what
it.
you hear expressed. Tell me what you hear expressed from young men the most.
The number one thing in the high school setting, I teach ninth graders, is they don't like X, Y, or Z. They don't like math class. They don't like English class. They don't, the teachers are out and above or on them. And what I constantly tell them is we've got to get more into facts and leave the feelings at home. At the end of the day, as a man, as a male in our society, and I guess it sucks maybe, but our feelings kind of really don't matter, I would say. Um, where we really got to focus in on is what is it that we are trying to attain? What is it that we are trying to do? Um, I don't know any football players, as I used to coach football, that loved the squat rack. They loved the results that squatting got them. They loved the results
Mm-hmm.
that hard work got them. But we're either going to be result oriented or we're going to be feeling oriented. But we cannot wish to get the results from the feelings. So, hey, if you don't like math class, it's not about liking the class. It's about liking whatever grade you're willing to sacrifice and put in the work to attain. So that's my number one, I guess, asset, or my number one thing that I'm always hearing from the kids is how much they don't like this or how much they don't like that.
And how do they react when you tell them that?
The number one answer is I know. I think, and I get that answer from my kids. They're 8 years old and they say I know, and I've gotten to the point now where I don't care about what you know; it's about what you do. I say belief
Yes.
isn't isn't a thought. A belief is an action. A belief is a state of mind. Belief is a way in which you deliver yourself upon the world, and that's not words. I know in advertising or in commercials or in TV I mean, even as we speak into this now, we're doing it through communicating through words, but we we believe action more than words, right? I can have, and the example I give them is your significant other, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever friend can tell you that they love you, but if they're kissing somebody right in front of your face, are you going to believe what they say or are you going to believe what they do? So it's your
Mm-hmm.
actions that we have to guide, that we have to go off of. And with that, knowing that, watch yourself. Watch how you're acting, watch how you're speaking, watch how you're thinking over a 2 week period, and then start coming up with what you believe your belief system is, because the first person we learn to lie to is ourselves, and we are masters at that, especially at that
Oh, say that again.
age.
It is absolutely true. The first person we learn to lie to is ourselves. And then once we're willing to unlie to ourselves, that's when we begin to grow and actually get better and get better results. So, what I'm pulling out from what you said a moment ago was instead of focusing on your feelings, focusing on what it is you want to reach or accomplish. Just like
Yeah,
when they're playing
it's a
football or basketball, that's what they do.
yeah, it's you you playing basketball or you're playing football, and you miss a shot. Okay, you didn't like that, but you don't care. You're gonna go run, get the ball, and you're gonna try and take another shot. Like, I think we've focused a little bit too much on the end product in our sporting world and not the processes that bring the success. Like
Mm,
sports and extracurricular activities were are there, I think, to instantiate the procedures in which we have to take in order to be successful. Okay, if I want to be a great basketball player, do I show up to practice? Yes. Do I give a good effort? Yes. Do I am I detailed about my organizational skills, knowing that I have homework, schoolwork, projects, and practice? Yes. Now, if you take that mindset and concept and and you move it to being successful in math. Well, hey, do I do my homework every day? Do I plan things out? Do I give a good effort when I'm practicing? Right? If we use the things that make us successful in these sports, then those things travel across different domains, so to speak. And then I say, if you know how to walk, then I know for a fact you know how to be successful, because when you were learning how to walk, you didn't care what kind of shoes you had on. You didn't care if you didn't like the place that you were learning how to walk. All you knew is that if you fell, you were going to climb up and you were going to try and learn how to walk again. So use that same tool set that you used in learning how to walk and learning how to do something that you may not like to do, whether it's math class, whether it's English class, whether it's Spanish class, especially in today's age. All I need to know is the topic. If I don't like the relationship that I have with my teacher, I can go home and I can get on the internet and I can say factoring polynomials and watch a YouTube video with a teacher that I do like. The purpose of school isn't to learn in my eyes. I say the purpose of school is to learn how you learn. How do we learn as individuals? It was Jean Piaget who said, a biology book from 50 years ago is totally different than a biology book from today. That means that all of those facts have changed. So if all the facts always change and we're always learning
mhm.
facts, then the point of the educational system isn't about the facts. It's about your ability to learn them. And if you can learn things that you don't want to learn when you start your own business, when you're working, when you're a father and you have how many stresses, you will learn how it is that you need to learn what you want to learn at that point. Because if you can
Mhm.
learn things you don't want to learn, you can definitely learn things that you want to
Yes, amen to that. Um, I want to switch it over a little bit because again, this episode is for young men. Clearly, I'm not a young man, and I don't know what it's like to grow up to in this world currently as a young man. You do. You work with young men, and you're a man. What do you think are just give me one, maybe two at the most, biggest challenges aside from what we just talked about? Biggest challenges that young men have from ninth to 12th grade today.
learn. I think the biggest one would be organization, like their
Okay.
organizational skills. I don't know. I think in our society we've kind of elongated the adolescence phase, where
Mm-hmm.
there are just certain things. There are certain things. There are certain habits. There are certain ways in which we have to start behaving if we want a specific result. Specifically, if that result is on the higher tier, right? If I ask all of my high school students, um, how many of you guys want to be rich? How many of you guys want to be a millionaire? And everybody raises their hand. Well, there are certain attributes that are consistent with people of that caliber. Like one, do you write all of your homework down in one place? Right? The amount of information that the individual person is going through right now, especially for young males, right, with video games and all these other things, we have so many more distractions. And I'm not saying not to be
Yeah.
distracted. I'm saying don't be distracted all the time. And we have a constant distraction that's on our hip that if we leave home without our phone, many of us will turn around and run right back. But that is it's a distraction uh, explosion right there going on in your phone. So my number one thing to them is be organized. Just have, and you can use your phone to do it. Put all of your
Yeah.
quizzes in your phone. Put all of your homework assignments in your phone. Put everything that's important to you that has to do with school in one location and come up with a system. What is like you have a when you wake up, you pretty much probably most of us for the first 10 minutes, and barring that we're running on time, we probably all have a system. Oh, I get up, I stretch, I go brush my teeth, and I go to bed, right? We have a system when we wake up. What is your system with school, right? With all of your subjects. Don't have everything all over the place, and because that's just it's not going to work. Um, and then two is managing distractions, uh, and then and I guess I'll say it like this: have have points of reflection. The natural points of reflection for all high school students are report cards and progress reports. You can't look at the progress
Mm-hmm.
report, and if it's a grade that you do not like, blame it on someone else. What is it that I have to do to get my grade where it needs to be, where I would like it to be? What kind of sacrifices am I willing to make? And hey, you are going to come across something that you do not mesh with. That's life. No one is great
Mm-hmm.
at everything, right? We all know that.
Right.
So, is it something that you could do, but your system isn't allowing you to do at your best ability, or um, is it something that's really and truly hard for you? And that just goes back to, hey, look, you know, who cares about it? Figure out how to get it done, whether you need to look at extra videos at home, whether you need to get a tutor, whether you need to do, like, what is it that you're going to do to get yourself out of that situation? Because everybody is going to have a challenge at some point in their life.
That is absolutely true. Now, we talked a lot about academics. I want to talk a little bit more on the social end of getting through high school. And
Yes.
I'm going to ask you this not because I am a young man, but because I see this from young men quite a bit, and I'm sure you do too, as a high school teacher. Um, there's a lot of young men who kind of feel like the world is against them. I'm not talking about the culture that we once lived in. I'm talking about right now in 2023, 24. What what advice do you have for young men who really feel like the world is against them as a young man?
Um, my advice is welcome to adulthood. I I follow a like a little National Geographic page on my Instagram, and there's zebras getting hunted by lions. There's lions getting eaten by alligators. There's eagles getting chased down by sheep. There's like that is the natural world, and it yes, it does suck. So come up with a like high school isn't only about the educational factor; it's also about the sociological factors, right? How are
Mm-hmm.
you socializing and making friends? Because they call it making friends in high school, but then when you get older and you get out of school, now we'll call it networking, right? We are
Exactly.
the human beings that we are is a product of the group, right? Like, did you come up with your language? Right? How do you get to school? You take a bus. Did you make the bus? Did you make the street signs? Did you make the road? We are more of a culmination of the things that we have done as a group. But even with and within that, right, we're always comparing ourselves to each other. It's just how we work. So, um, one is yes, that's I hear you, I feel you. Now figure out who are you? Like, what do you like? Why do you like it? And where is what you like leading you? Right? The things that you listen to, the things that you watch infects and influences you. Are they influencing you in the right way or in the wrong way? Right? Is there a right path and a wrong path? Yes. Are the things that you watch and listen to influencing you? Yes. Well, what are they? How are they? And how is that uh, shaping and molding your worldview upon you? Maybe everybody's not against you. Maybe the actions that you're taking are more against you than everybody else, right? Maybe
That's a
maybe
perspective.
uh, maybe through not exercising the right way, not sleeping the right way, not eating the right way, has you feeling down, and that has nothing to do with anybody other than you. So start looking at what am I doing on a daily basis that could hurt my future, and how am I going to remedy that? How am I going to change that? Because I think we have too much of a hubristic or a prideful relationship with the person that we are. Like we're not totally in control of ourselves. And I'll ask any high school kid right now, how easy is it for you to pay attention in class when you're bored. It is it's phenomenally difficult. So we're not in
Right.
total control of ourselves. We are influenced by outside factors. And what what factors are you being intentional about and delivering to yourself that you know will put you in a situation that you want to be in your future?
Yes, so what I'm hearing is that their feelings are valid, but it's a reality you got to deal with. So what are you going to do about it? What are you going to actually do to get ahead instead of sitting under, I would say, whimpering under the world's against me, so I'm not going to try. Because I hear that, I've
Yeah.
heard that from young,
I lo-
at times, and I don't want them to feel that
and what's
discouraged. But
Well, I and I don't either. But at the same time, what's hidden behind that is a lot of people don't set goals because goals actually highlight how I'm falling short. Right? The only way that the human body feels any positive emotion is by seeing yourself move towards a goal. Well, if our kids don't have goals, then they don't have positive emotion. So uh, when kids start talking that, I'm to okay, what are your goals? Give me two or three goals. Give me a long term goal, a medium term goal, and a short term goal that you have. If you brush your teeth every morning, put them on your mirror in your bathroom so that you can brush your teeth and you're looking. You're constantly reminding yourself because the human brain is made to forget. You were listening to this podcast right now. Well, tell me what was the first thing that was said. You can't bring it up because the human brain forgets more than it remembers. So what are you doing to remind yourself about things that are important to you on a daily basis? And now once you do that, now you're going to see yourself take more steps towards it, and then you are actually changing how you feel. You can't talk yourself into changing how you feel, but you can change how you act, and when you change how you act, you change how you feel. So give me a list of your goals, put them up there, see them every day, and now you're that is going to change from a physiological level. I'm not talking about opinions. I'm talking about measurable facts in dopamine release in your body, and voila, you have it right there.
and that's what I was looking for. That was perfectly said, I believe. Um, yeah, everything you just said, I don't even need to add to it. Everything you just said. I'm going to switch it up a little bit. Something that I did not mention in the beginning, because I try to keep my introductions super, super short. You wrote a book, and that book is called The Book Everyone Should Read. Can you tell us a little bit about, because I really believe it ties into this conversation. Um, Tell us a little bit about, what the book is about very briefly, but I really want them to hear why you started it in the first place, or why you wrote it in the first place.
Yeah, the book is I I've been high school football coach, head coach, defensive coordinator, and a teacher for over 15 years. And what I was looking around and I was just saying, you know what, I know that 100% of people, if it's not 100%, it's 98% of people are going to work with other people in their lives. I don't know how much we're doing in educating people about other people when we know that that's the greatest fact. I don't know if you're going to, right, everybody has to take math, but I don't know if you're going to be an accountant. And I know that 98% of the people who take math aren't going to be in accounting. I don't know.
Right.
We don't, there's so many different things that we're teaching our kids in high school that they may not go into that particular field, but I think 100% of people are going to work with other people. So
Yes.
I said, you know what? The number one thing that I want my kids to learn about is other people, and learn what do we know as a human species about human beings. And I looked at it from a psychological perspective and a sociological perspective because that's who we are as individuals. We're not only the individual, but we are also part of a group. So I wanted to write that, and it wasn't about making money. It wasn't about making book sales. It was for my kids. So my kids, and they're 8-year-old twins, boy, girl. They see daddy working, working. What are you working on? I'm working on your book. I'm working on your book. And when it came out, um, it was, they were happy about it, and they tried to read it, couldn't. Right? It's above their level, but it was something I wanted to leave for them, just because I constantly see the mistakes that ninth graders kind of make, and I kind of feel like there's a void in how we're approaching uh, that educational aspect and giving our future, literally, it's, I mean, kids are literally the human species future, uh,
Oh yeah.
a better a better a better way to walk forward in life and understand some of the feelings that they may be feeling, whether from a personality perspective, how neurotic are you? And neuroticism is how sensitive you are to negative emotion. If I don't know that, then how can I put my career? If I'm a very sensitive person, why would I go into a high stress job? That doesn't make any sense. It's counterintuitive. So I think the first thing we have to do is teach our kids, teach our future, where do human beings lie on these perspectives, and then where are they lying from a sociological perspective as well? Because we found this out in World War I or two, I forget. Babies that are given everything that they need other than touch will die. So we're not sea turtles. We can't
Hmm.
just hatch and go off. We actually need to be part of a group. We have to be part of that organizational aspect. So giving that information out so that now a kid can say, oh, you know what? Wow, I'm really orderly, or I'm not that orderly, right? A lot of my kids, a lot of my male kids, they're just not orderly. Well, knowing that now you have to make it more of a point to plan those things into your life, right? So if I don't know where, if I don't know the areas in which I am lacking, then I can never be intentional about growing them. So in order to hit a target, I must identify a target, and that's what that's for my children, and then for anybody who might hear me talk and gets interested in the subject.
So what I'm hearing, what I'm drawing from that, and if I'm going to give it a very short summary, I would say the book is about the importance of understanding and connecting to other people because we need to in life.
Yes, and it's and giving the makeup, because the human being is way too complex. It's not even complex; it's complex. I can't identify a human being, right? A human being is so unique and so precious, and so we can take stabs at trying to personify, individuals and people. So it's different ways in which we are. I guess I'm trying to deliver a vocabulary that people can have, that that the kids can kind of start to discover who they are as individuals. And so, like,
Okay.
I can't know I can't know if I'm conscientious if I don't know what that word means. Right. So it's building the
Very true. Very
vocabulary
true.
of of personality and sociology within an individual.
Yes. I um I try to do that with my show, and even just beyond here when I speak and do workshops, I don't use a lot of buzzwords. I don't use a lot of common academic words because people have different associations with those words. And I instead will describe what I mean instead of using the word. It can be a little more long winded at times, but not that much more long
Mhm.
winded. But I find that it's more effective in reaching people because I'm not really that interested in being impressive. I'm interested in being impactful. So being able to reach people, I think verbiage matters, but you also have to look at who you're talking to. If I'm talking to a room of professors,
Right.
I will absolutely use all the biggest academic words that I know. But if I'm talking to just
Hmm.
about anybody else, I stay away from those words, um,
Right.
because it's, as you said, that words matter. But sometimes I think we
Mhm.
forget what that means. It's not what it means on paper, it's what it means to the people you're talking
At
to.
all.
And if we think that way,
100%.
we will speak differently, which is why you hear me rephrase things all the time. You will hear me, I make up words all the time, but I will take a proper word and make it very improper. And 99% of the time, you immediately get what I mean without explanation. Like when I tell people
I
they need to
love it.
get therapized. When I say get therapized, I don't really need to explain that. That is not a
Mm.
real word. but but I've made it a word that I use commonly because it explains everything and people get it.
Mm.
People get it when you
Right.
say
Well,
that,
that's
and
what. Well, words are representations of ideas, and if these ideas that we're
yes,
speaking on, if I say a word and you say a word, and both we're saying the same word, but the meaning is different, it's
yes,
I think it's almost better to speak about things in detail so that we are actually, because
hmm
communication is I am pushing data and information towards you. You are receiving it, you are accumulating it in your brain, and then you're bringing it back to me, and that's what a conversation is. A conversation isn't between the two people.
right.
It exists, somewhere else. So 100%, a million percent, I'm yes, 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 yes.
And I
I,
know
I,
that you understand that
I
as a teacher, because I'm sure as a teacher
yes.
you don't always use the same exact words. Well, maybe you do it out of
No, you,
habit, but you can't just you have to use the words that are in a book, but you also have to use the words that are going to help them to understand the concepts. I know when I used to tutor math, I would stay away. I would intentionally, while I'm tutoring them, I would stay away from the mathematical verbiage. I would stay away from
right,
the name of that equation. And I would focus on
yes,
what that equation means and getting them to understand the
right,
concept. Once they understand the concept, then I would attach the name. And they would get it. And they're like, oh my God,
right.
I actually understood that. And I'm like, you just got to break it down
Hmm.
differently than how we're giving it to you. But anyway,
100%, 100%.
it's been really great talking to you, and I like hearing other people's perspective on some of the same things that I talk about, and that's I think it's important to promote that as well, and that we're not always just hearing the way I say things, and people aren't always just hearing what you have to say. It's important that we're able to. I think it's important to have people on here who don't talk like me. We talk about the same
It's
thing, we believe a lot of the same thing, but you don't talk like me, which is
we
beautiful
don't.
because that means that you're reaching people that I wouldn't reach in certain aspects, if that makes sense. Um,
Yes, that's
but I
it's
love that.
and I always go back to uh, a African term Ubuntu, and that means I am because you are. The only reason I can identify myself as me is because there are other people who are different than me. Right? Like it's what we've got a big thing on diversity right now. If everybody
Right.
looked exactly like you, thought like you, spoke like you wouldn't have. There would be no I. Right? There would be no individual person. So my message to all my kids is you refer to yourself as I, and in the center of your eye is a pupil. And that pupil means that forever, as long as you're going to identify yourself as an individual, you will always be a student, and the classroom will be life. And as long as you're a student, you are going to make mistakes. You are going to, go down some wrong roads.
Yes.
But the most
Yes.
important thing is you extract the lesson and blessing from the experience, and then you're winning, period, point blank. So
Yes. Good
I
way
am
to put it.
100% with you on what you're saying.
Well, thank you again, Roger, for Mr. Pollard, for coming out and being willing to be on the show today. And I'm hoping that some young men were listening that really got something out of this. And if you're not a young man, if you got some out of it, that's beautiful too. um,
Amen.
and if you could, before we go, just tell people where and how they could find you.
They can find me at www.motiveandmotivation.com. And then my Instagram is the number one, Roger Pollard, on Instagram. And those are my two things. And then my email address is put motiveandmotivation@gmail.com. If anybody ever has any questions or um, just wants some advice, um, I give information back out and we can have a little conversation on there.
And the videos that I saw were on your website as well, correct? The
Yes,
videos of you
yes.
being a guest and speaking. Okay.
Yes, yes. So my podcast, like this, will get shot on my on my website, and then uh, little information. I'm planning on starting to break down some of the concepts from my books, because I started off with this first one about the book everyone should read, but that moved into a virtue book, Courage, Love, and Discipline, which is now moving into a third book, which is Origins and Actions. So all of that information, all the stuff that's in there, I know nobody likes to read nowadays. So I'm gonna once I finish this third book, I'm gonna start putting videos on the website. So
Okay.
the point is to get the information out there to help people feel a
Right.
better sense of self.
All right. Well, thank you once again for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And now for a mind shifting moment. Young man, I want you to know that you're important, you matter, and how you feel matters too. One of the biggest things I want you to hear today is that it is okay to talk about how you are feeling. And no, you don't have to get all girly about it, but be honest. And if you feel more comfortable talking to a man about it, hey, go ahead. There's nothing wrong with that. But whatever you're dealing with and whatever you're going through, it's probably just like so many other people, but you need to talk about it because honestly, talking about stuff is how you get over it. If you don't talk about it and you cover it up and you hold it in, you stay under it. Find a man around you who you can talk to. Find someone who understands what you have experienced, what it's like to live through some of the things that you're dealing with. They're out there, but they are not going to come up to you and say, hey, I'm here. You have to go out and find them. You have to let them know that you want the guidance, that you want to have somebody to talk to. Please reach out. Please, please, please reach out. Because as with anyone, when we don't deal with our issues and we don't talk about the things we need to talk to, male or female, doesn't matter, we explode. Men explode a little bit differently than women most of the time. Please make sure you are talking to somebody. If you're not comfortable with a therapist, your friend's father, the neighborhood guy down the street, somebody at church, someone, you are worth it. Reach out. Thank you for listening to Mindshift Power Podcast. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel at The Mind Shifter. If you have any comments, topic suggestions, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit fatimabay.com/podcast. Remember, there's power in shifting your thinking. Tune in for next week.